her? What happened to believing her? Women have a right to be believed. Then in Carl Bernstein's book about Hillary's, well, he writes that Clinton would refer to Jennifer Flowers as trailer trash. Bill Clinton later admitted to having a sexual relationship with Flowers, and he admitted it only when he was under oath. Next up, Paula Jones. She accused Bill Clinton of exposing himself in a hotel room, and after filing a lawsuit against him, well, Clinton ended up paying Jones $850,000 with an out-of-court settlement. And in a related case, Clinton lost his law license in Arkansas for 5 years. The Clinton machine also went vicious after Jones, according to the New York Times and fake news CNN and other outlets. Longtime Clinton ally, CNN pundit for a while, James Carville, remember, infamously said this about Jones: if you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park, you never know what you'll find. And Carville also slammed Jones by saying she only sued Clinton because of money. Then, of course, there's Monica Lewinsky, the White House intern, that had an affair with Bill Clinton. And just like the other accusers, well, Hillary had a nasty nickname for Lewinsky. According to a journal entry that was made public, Hillary's friend, Diane Blair, said Hillary called Lewinsky a, quote, narcissistic Looney Tune. Then you have Kathleen Willey. She accused Bill Clinton in the Oval Office of groping and grabbing and fondling and touching and kissing her, all against her will, while she was a volunteer at the White House. Willey later said that Hillary enabled her husband's predatory behavior. And, of course, we can't forget Juanita Broderick. She alleged that Bill Clinton raped her in 1978. Broderick also describes an encounter where Hillary tried to silence her. Well, that's who the Clintons are, who they've always been. What they did to these women is reprehensible. Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign came up with the term bimbo eruptions to describe the women who came forward and made accusations against Bill. Now, George Stephanopoulos wrote in his memoir that in '91, Hillary said, quote, we have to destroy her, when describing one of Bill's accusers. And speaking of George, well, watch how he handled one person who threatened to leak information about Bill Clinton to the press. Watch this.
What is names, addresses? I can send you a fax with names, addresses, phone numbers of who you had an affair with. It wouldn't make it true. It is completely. If you went on the radio and said that Bill Clinton is the father of an illegitimate black child, you would be laughed at. People would think you're crazy. I guarantee you that if you do this, you'll never work in Democratic politics again. Maybe you don't want to. I'm not saying it matters. You will be embarrassed before the National Press Corps. People will think, nobody will believe you, and people will think you're scummy. The alternative is you don't do it. It causes you some temporary pain with people who tomorrow aren't going to matter. And you have a campaign that understands that in a difficult time, you did something right. And, you know, that's important. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, or we can't do anything for you specifically or anything like that, but you know that you did the right thing.
Yeah, good morning, America. You'll never work again. You'll be embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. This is who the Clintons are. This is who they've been for 30 years. They're allies in the Democratic Party. They're friends in the media. They knew it. They did everything they could to cover it up and completely trash Bill's accusers up to and including last year's election. Is that inexcusable? Media also never reported that Hillary and her family foundation, I talked about it a lot last year, took tens of millions of dollars from countries that abuse women, kill gays and lesbians, persecute Christians and Jews, which is horrible. She took all that money. The Clintons literally, by taking it, endorsed that repressive behavior. They bought her silence, and the media, of course, all last year, they gave them a free pass. Now, so while it's nice to see that some on the left and in the media, well, now that the Clintons have no power, are only starting to admit how horrible the Clintons were to Bill's accusers, I argue it's a little too late. Here with reaction, CRTV host Michelle Malkin, former deputy assistant to the president, Fox News national security strategist Sebastian Gorka. I want to be very clear, Michelle. Nobody has a monopoly. There are horrible Republicans out there, horrible people in general. That's not what I'm describing here. I am describing systematically, because of politics, the Clintons were protected by the media, and they went out and just abused these women again and again and smeared them to death, even up to and including through the election last year.
That's right, Sean, and this is not ancient history. You're going to have all of these liberal wheedlers out there asking, oh, why is Sean Hannity and Michelle Malkin and Sebastian Gorka talking about Bill Clinton? It's because so much of the mess that we're in now is a result and legacy of the Clinton victim smear machine. These two are the godparents, Hillary and Bill Clinton, the godparents of victim-shaming smear tactics. And now we've got this case where you've got all of these liberal media journalists who are tying themselves in yoga knots to try and reconcile their own roles and their own culpability in enabling the Clinton smears against all of his accusers and victims with the left-wing feminist ideology of believing all women. And now what we know, of course, is it's not revelation. It's merely confirmation, Sean, that the idea that we should believe all women has an exception. Really, the rules for Radicals 2017 has always been that you should believe all women except when they are accusing liberal Democratic men and liberal Hollywood weirdos. There's a second corollary to that unwritten rule that is now being exploded and exposed for the farce that it is. And that second corollary is this, Sean and Dr. Gorka, it's this, that all women must be respected, unless, of course, they are female Republicans, conservatives, pro-lifers, stay-at-home moms, and gun owners. I have lived this for the past 25 years in public life, along with all of the women who have been smeared by leftists in the media and in the Democrat Party. We're always treated as less than women, as less than human. And when we have called out the misogyny and the hypocrisy and the double standards of the left, we get attacked even more. The hypocrisy and double standards are thicker than Thanksgiving gravy.
All right, Dr. Gorka.
Wow, I don't know how I follow that. Michelle's absolutely right, but let me expand the optic here. There's the issue of the absolute double standards on the left. So now, 30 years later, they find morality. So it's okay if Al Franken admits to it, then it just disappears as an issue. You look at Bob Menendez, Senator Menendez. We're not going to cover that story, but we don't have the proof on Judge Moore, and he's the problem. So number one, Sean, it's the unbelievable level of double standards. But the second thing is, beyond that, it's what Cheryl Atkinson has written about in her book Smear. It's the persistent smear tactics, just making stuff up because it's politically expedient to your friends. How is it that you have all these individuals who are supposed to be journalists, but they literally manufacture stories out of nothing to attack the president? Sometimes it's trivial. You remember recently the fish feeding event in Japan, right, where they crop out that the president is actually doing exactly what his host did before. Why? Because it's expedient to make the president look bad. Or it gets far more serious. CNN is going to say that James Comey is going to counter everything the president said about the FBI investigating him or not. It goes on and on and on because it's all about politics. It's never about the truth, Sean. It's never just about journalism.
All right, Dr. Gorka, we're going to keep Michelle, so I want to give you one more quick question here. What happens? How do you ascertain? Charlie Rose is admitting it. Franken, we have the picture. Some cases you have evidence. Clinton's over time were revealed that these things had happened. What do you do when it is he said, she said? How do people ascertain the difference in an environment where allegations are flying? Some people deny them, say it didn't happen.
It's all about two things. The credibility of the source. Is the individual credible, and can it be corroborated? The big problem we have today, Sean, is we don't have investigative journalists anymore. The people like Sarah Carter, they are so rare today. They give a 21-year-old kid a computer and access to Google, and they call him a journalist. That's how Politico works. That's how HuffPo works. You can get to the bottom of this, but you've got to wear out shoe leather. You've got to talk people to talk. You've got to corroborate the stories. And that just isn't done anymore. It's just accusations thrown out there for political damage.